Wolfpack. It's your boy, the Wolf of Road Street, RoadStreetJournal.com. We breed and feed you fantasy wolves here with your Week 15 quarterfinal of your fantasy football playoffs, baby. Let's go. Best time of the year. If I have a little extra pep in my step, it is because the playoffs have arrived, folks. Nothing is more exciting than this when everything is all on the line. Win, continue on, lose, and you're done. The holiday season is that much better, though, when you have those wins piling up and you continue on your march. And I'm going to do everything in my power to help every one of you guys out there get your win. So if you're here live with us, amazing. I already see questions before I even got live coming in. Love to see it, Wolfpack. Continue to get those questions on. And as you know, I'll go position by position, looking at fantasy points against and some other key stats, usage, all that good stuff on these players as we quickly try to hit literally every single player by position within about a 45-minute is how I like to do it, span. And then afterwards, it is on to all of your questions. So if you're here with me for the long haul, awesome, love it, greatly appreciate it. Whether you're catching the replay as well, either way, that thumbs up button does help us get out to more people. So if you appreciate the content, I appreciate you considering giving that thumbs up to us so we can beat that algorithm, get out to more people. We are less than 50 away now from 2K, and that'd be meaning the world. If you are listening and you end up liking what you hear, consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss a drop. Alrighty, folks, that's all of the publicity, all that good stuff we need to do. So let me bring on in my rankings here. As always, we like to start with the quarterback position. So I'm going to move this here. And I actually have to keep the ranker itself open. Usually I like to show my final published rankings, but there's been some big news today, and we'll cover that as we go. The biggest being Deandre Hopkins is done for the season. Of course, that has a huge impact. I already saw some questions on that, so might as well start with that right from the top, right? Deandre Hopkins done for the year. I'm going to add a quick banner here. And not done for the full season, but done for regular season. That's what I'm going to add here. Huge news as we were getting live here. Obviously impacts Kyler Murray, losing his true anchor number one, the guy he often went to under duress. That hurts. But Kyler Murray is surrounded by weaponry. A.J. Green, no DeAndre Hopkins at this age, but he certainly has regained a step this last year as compared to last. I think he's going to kind of, emerge and continue to ascend as that kind of Hopkins-style role in the red zone as a big body. Don't look back at that Green Bay Packers game. I think that is going to be the most immediate, not quite Hopkins-level production, no, but in terms of role, size, fit, that's what I think is going to get the most boost of this. But then Christian Kirk also becomes an every down player. We've seen this guy with usage continue to ascend. Last week, making those crazy 40-yard catch after 40-yard catch. I could see him having some monster games here without DeAndre Hopkins and with Kyler Murray now quarterback. I mean, we saw Kirk thriving with no Hopkins and Colt McCoy at QB. I really think he could have a great season. And Rondale Moore, he manufactured touches, continue to rise these last few weeks, and now there's one massive mouth less to feed. Chase Edmonds in his return. When you remove an alpha, it just trickles down all those targets to everybody. So yes, it will ding Kyler a little bit in the rest of the season, big board, but ultimately he is so good. He does the majority of his damage with his legs and just deep shots, and you don't need Hopkins for that. I think he will be more than fine. I'm not going to overreact to Kyler's value. I just think a lot of these ships do rise with the target totals. Again, AJ Green probably the most. Christian Kirk, also a big secondary riser, and Rondale Moore out there in a ton of leagues, over 80% before going live here. Definitely go and check him out. That's the biggest news I've seen, though. We'll cover some injuries and different things. If you guys see some notes that I miss while going through these, please, by all means, let me know. I do my best to prepare as much as I can before the shows, but stuff comes in while I'm live. Stuff comes in right as I finish prep, and I don't actually catch it right before I go live. So if I miss anything or I misspeak, by all means, please feel free to correct me, but I should be good to go, should be fully prepared. Now, even without DeAndre Hopkins, I'm still leaving Kyler Murray number one. It's Detroit. They're abysmal against every position, including quarterbacks. He should have no problem running all over them, throwing all over them. 3 to 5 touchdowns is a lock. It's just a matter of does he get to 5 and win you your week single-handedly and carry you to your semifinals, or do you need a little bit more from other people? We'll find out. I mean, he didn't even throw a passing touchdown last week, and he still had over 20 points against a tough Rams defense. What's he going to do to Detroit? Smash them. Tom Brady, New Orleans, really bad pass defense, solid run defense. nobody's better at attacking opponent weaknesses than Tom Brady while avoiding their strengths. He should have a massive game here against a division rival. Even though the Saints suck, it might not keep this ultimately competitive. Taysom Hill has been giving them a little bit of juice, but also Brady might just want to these guys, right? Remember last year, there were some times where Brady just, they lost to this team multiple times. I think Brady just wants to go in, smash these guys. They're giving up right now the 12th most points to QBs. Brady should have no problem being one of the top 4 quarterbacks this week. Josh Allen, not too far behind. Carolina is one of the better defenses, giving up the 28th points, so 4th fewest points to the quarterback position. But I don't think that really matters given they lost Tre'Davious White. We just saw Tom Brady carving them up without him. Allen coming off like a 40-point day, was it? Yeah, I mean, I have no worries here at all what Josh Allen's going to do. The one thing when it's not published, it doesn't let me pull up their game logs, and I do like to see the stats. So I might actually publish this. I already see 10 likes out there. Folks, I didn't even ask for that. Maybe at the beginning, but I really appreciate that, Wolfpack. Thank you so much as the questions come in. So part of me wants to just kind of publish these. I do have some changes to make though. So we'll leave it at this. I can always dive in, but monster. We got 4 touchdowns and 341 yards for Aaron Rodgers. Now he gets a Baltimore defense without Marlon Humphrey. They already weren't a great defense, giving up the 11th most points to quarterbacks. We got Rodgers as hot as can be. I'm +2 ECR. I know that. He's one of my hires of the week. He did come out feeling not great about his toe. He said, I regressed, but I mean, he's been complaining about this thing and then going out and putting up multiple points. To me, I think it's like a show. He wants people to be like, oh, poor Aaron Rodgers. What a brave man out there. Either way, he's my fantasy quarterback. I'm not going to shit on him because I love what he's been doing for me these last few weeks. Let's go, Rodgers. Especially if Lamar's out there to keep this game shooting out. I think he's a monster. You can't hate Justin Herbert the way he's been cooking, over 20 fantasy points in 5 straight. Kansas City had been one of those defenses you wanted to attack some more. But lately, they've really gotten stiff against everything, right? They haven't allowed more than 17 points in a single game in their last 7 weeks. Kansas City is 9th still in points allowed to QBs, but if you did it, from just this half of the year, I imagine they'd be towards the bottom of that list. Quarterback hasn't really had a big day against them in about 7 straight weeks. Looking at it, we got and the level of competition has been pretty atrocious too, but Daniel Jones 16, 11 for Jordan Love. Derek Carr hit 18. Dak Prescott was abysmal. Did he get hurt? I can't even remember. No, that was just a pathetic game he had. Teddy Bridgewater, 11. Derek Carr, 10. So, yeah, I mean, they've really kind of stifled up and been just much better, simply put, against the quarterbacks. And so it's not quite the smash. I think Herbert, the way he's rolling, he should be more than okay to do some good damage, but still just something to keep in mind how good they are. And on the other side of that, Pat Mahomes coming off a monster day somehow without Travis Kelce or Tyreek Hill really doing much. We had Pat Mahomes lighting the league up. So I think he could, especially if Herbert does his part and puts up some points, I do think Pat Mahomes could do some damage too. Now, this is not a Chargers defense that's been overly generous. The 6th fewest points allowed to quarterbacks this year. But Mahomes is Mahomes, and it seems like this team is just rolling, so I have no problem. Those are your elite quarterback ones. Now moving into the remaining QB ones, lower end, in my opinion. But Taysom Hill, over 20 points in back-to-back games, nearly 30 last week. It was gross. It was like close your eyes and let's see what happens type of performance. But ultimately, he got it done. What view do you like? I like this view better. Let me know if you guys feel differently. Tampa Bay, though, one of the better run defenses, and you'd think pass funnel defense, right? That should be solid. 6 most points allowed to quarterbacks. That should be a good thing for Taysom Hill, right? But really, he does his damage on the ground, and this could be one of the tougher matchups he faces. Still, a generous pass D, letting up a ton of big plays, still really injured. I think he could have a great day. Dak Prescott facing off against a bad Giants defense here that has given up the 14th most points. So middle of the pack, I guess, but they're not anything special. He's coming off back-to-back duds, though, and I am about 4 or 5 spots below the ECR on Dak this coming week. Given he's playing hurt, and it's pretty clear to see he is not quite the Dak that lights the world on fire. So keep that in mind when you go to him. Jalen Hurts, should run all over this team, but they do, Washington, yes, they had been giving up the most points on the season. They are still, but these last few weeks, they have been some of the Chiefs, but lighter, of course. They have not been nearly as generous as they were to start the year. So keep that in mind. Stafford against Seattle, if Russell's there and slinging, this game should be a shootout. Should have no problem putting up big numbers, just threw 3 touchdowns against a Cardinals defense that had limited quarterbacks to the third fewest points. Seattle in the red, not a great matchup, but certainly easier than a defense that Stafford just continues to roll and put up 20 after 20 after 20. Nice, locked in, safe points. I actually like him more than Jalen Hurts the more I think about it. I like him more than Dak Prescott the more I think about it. So I will be adjusting that when this wheel of death stops. Kirk Cousins gets it done. Not anything sexy, but solid floor, decent ceiling. When he has ceiling games, it's a great thing. So I like him against a Chicago team who is not really good anywhere on defense, but certainly worse against quarterbacks, giving up the third most points. We just saw them get bombed by Rodgers, and Cousins might not be any Rodgers, but he can exploit a bad defense. So only Atlanta and Washington giving up more. And I feel like Chicago's treading the opposite direction of those teams getting even worse by the week. So I love Cousins. I don't hate Burrow. Denver has given up. Where do they rank? It must be worse than that. Oh, no, the fourth fewest points. 2 QBs is Denver. So not a great spot for Burrow, but he has been just lights out with Jamar Chase, with T. Higgins, the deep balls, the willingness to sling it. Love everything that's coming from Burrow. And then Russell Wilson, he seems pretty back. 262, 263, like about 18 and 19 points in 3 straight starts. Seems like he's finally comfortable with that finger. I still wish they were airing it out more. I don't understand how they can remain so run heavy. I guess when Penny looks as good as he did, I guess he gives them decent reason. But even still, Russell Wilson, I think, in a good spot, especially if the Rams put up their points as I expect. That game could definitely be a shootout. Although every time I say that about the Rams and Seahawks, I feel like that game always disappoints from a points perspective. Lamar Jackson's only down here low because we don't know really what his injury status is. If he's banged up and loses some mobility, I wouldn't love him. My favorite streamer of the week, though, Justin Fields out there in 80% of leagues right now. A Minnesota team that's given up the 4th most points to QBs. Fields is averaging 74 yards on the ground across his last 6 games. When he started the year, averaging about 20 yards per game. They clearly have started to mold this offense, and now he has had 18 plus in 3 straight full starts. I think Fields could easily hit 18 to 25. I know it's a pretty decent range there, but should he run in for a score in addition to what he's been doing in the air? Solid ceiling here, as is there for Jimmy Garoppolo. Both guys out on your waiver wire in a lot of leagues. I love potentially going to either one of them. I prefer them over Tua, a very popular streaming candidate. The Jets, that makes sense. They're horrendous, but if they can, they will just pound this rock. Now, granted, I don't know who the running back's going to be, right? Is it going to be Duke? Is it going to be Ahmed? Is Gaskin going to make his way back? We don't know yet. But this could be one of those games where the Dolphins dominate, put up 30 points, but Tua throws 1 touchdown. That's kind of the feeling I get, the vibe I'm getting. I do like Derek Carr against Cleveland. That entire team is just ravaged with COVID. So, facing like a backup defense, Carr could have a decent rebound game. I don't hate Mac Jones at all. In fact, I'm like 7 spots above the ECR on him, if I remember correctly from yesterday. Indy is one of the most clear-cut pass funnel defenses. They're giving up the 2nd fewest to running backs, but right in the middle of the pack, 15th or 16th, 2 quarterbacks. And Belichick, he'll scheme this thing to go after him. Ben Roethlisberger, Tennessee, bad secondary, 7th most points to QBs. He's coming off back-to-back 20-point days. It's gross, but if you need a streamer, I prefer Mac Jones. Obviously, Jimmy, Garoppolo and Justin Fields way ahead of him too, but a guy that's widely available, Big Ben, that could be solid. I think it's just a decent floor to him too. Tannehill, lower on him about 3 spots. Pittsburgh isn't overly threatening. They're certainly easier to run on than pass on, though. And Tannehill just has no one to throw to. He's a nothing. And then you're moving in your QB2s. Like, do you really need any of these guys? Please tell me no. No mobility for Taylor Heineke. Don't love him. Wentz against I feel like the Pats are going to play mind games with him all game. In fact, I really don't hate Davis Mills, who's thrown multiple 300-yard games. The only passer to throw 300 against the Pats, actually. If you're looking for a real desperation streamer, I don't hate him. I don't hate Teddy Bridge, given I think Cincy will put up their points. All guys to potentially consider. We will now move on. Oh, maybe not. Maybe I got to log in. 2 running backs, though. Let me pull up the new banner. Looks like we got about 30 questions already. Love to see that, Wolfpack. Continue to get those numbers up. As we move to running backs, please consider, if you haven't already, hitting that thumbs up button, sharing, liking, dropping us in a Facebook group that you might be in to help us grow this pack as we head into playoff time, help more people win titles as long as they're not your opponents. I want you to win those titles. Let me get on in here. See a little bit of the magic behind the scenes with these rankings. Dalvin Cook, though, my number one guy, coming off a 40-point explosion, depending on your scoring. Whew, just an absolute beast. Chicago's bad. Certainly worse against the pass than they are the run, but they're not good against the run. He'll have no problem putting another 2 scores in. Always the risk of the re-injury, I guess, with the harness, but all harness Dalvin Cook does is score 2 TDs in games. In Chicago, where are they against the run? Let me just see here. 16th. So, yeah, right in the middle of the pack. Nothing to worry about there. Jonathan Taylor. It's Jonathan Taylor. He's been top 10 in 8 straight weeks. Monster. Just a monster. New England is, of course, going to sell out to stop him, but I think many teams try to do that, and you just can't. So he'll be fine. I do prefer Dalvin, but man, that's going to be a great spot for Taylor. Nick Chubb, not far behind, though. No Kareem Hunt this week. No, maybe Baker Mayfield, it's looking like. You got to imagine they'll hand the ball to this guy 30 times. And against the Raiders team, give up the 4th most points to backs, the most points across their last 3 games. Chubb could have a field day. This could be like 220-yard, 2-touchdown Chubb. I know he's been single-digit PPR points in 3 of his last 5. Tossing that out the window. Easy matchup. Path of 25-plus carries in this game script. And they're going to need him. Raiders will put up their points. This is a defense he should steamroll. Austin Eckler, assuming he's in, should be in a great spot against the Chiefs. Granted, again, they have been tougher in recent weeks, 15th most points allowed, but over the last few, they're in that bottom 25, one of the harder teams to run on. But Eckler does it in the pass, does it in the run. He is questionable, so you obviously have to track that. But I think the expectation is that he plays. If not, we'll look at Justin Jackson. We'll look at Kelly and figure out how we sift through them. But for now, let's assume Eckler's in. He'd be a top 4 running back for me. Then we got Alvin Kamara. So this is like the tale of 2 defenses, right? Where one of the hardest run defenses, but they've also surrendered the most receptions to running backs per game. So you got to obviously consider both those things. What does Kamara do the best? Well, catch the ball. You saw 5 targets, 4 catches with Taysom Hill, which I know is the big narrative. He'll never catch the ball. He's got no upside. When we saw it last week, that he had 5, I got 4 catches, but also just ran all over the place. So I do still love Kamara in my top 5. Very, very difficult, in my opinion, to rank him any other way. Then we move on to my next tier of just still locked in RB1s, in my opinion. I'm going to actually go back here. So Fournette didn't practice today. It seems more like a maintenance day, though. Top 6 for me. Even though New Orleans is a tough run D, the fewest points allowed to the position, actually, as of this week. Fournette can get it done in so many ways. Is he still leading the league in running back receptions? I know he was just not too long ago, so he could be. That's what makes him so valuable. And Gio Bernard with the MCL, it could be just a ton of work for Leonard Fournette. So keep him locked on in, as you don't need me to encourage that, but what a beast. Najee Harris against Tennessee. Tennessee certainly can be passed upon a lot more easily than they could be run on. The second fewest points actually allowed to the running back position. It goes Saints, then it goes Titans. Tampa Bay, 23rd. So they're not as hard as they're made out to be, given how many receptions, 8.3 per game, they surrender to the back position. Only the Bengals have allowed more. That's targets rather, but still keep that in mind. In that same tier, Cordell Patterson, the only rub against him is he's been kind of becoming it's nice that he's going to get about 15 to 20 carries every week, but that's kind of limited his receiving work, where he's more of the joker and moving all over the place and freeing him up for the big plays that made him a 30-plus fantasy point guy nearly every week to start the year. Seems like he's more in this gross grinder type of role, which is okay. It's consistent, steady volume. He's not going to disappear, but I'd rather see him moved all over the place again, like getting deep against defenses. That'd be the preferred, especially with no Ridley coming back anytime soon. Let's get Cordell going again in the receiving game. That's kind of been lacking these last few weeks. Mixon, Denver, 24th in terms of points allowed. So decent matchup. My concern with Mixon is Samaje Perine see more targets these last 4 weeks. I don't know what's going on there because Mixon's a great receiver. He's such an explosive guy, but definitely a concern for me moving forward. James Conner, that day to day with the knee, probably going to play. Comments, we need to reduce his workload, and Chase Edmonds being back will allow us to do so. All of that is true, but that doesn't mean he still won't run for 3 touchdowns against Detroit. They are abysmal. Then you move into your elite RB2, lower end running back ones here between Gibson, Montgomery, Mitchell, Clyde, and Sony. That's how I have these guys ranked in this tier. Gibson coming off a dud and only saw 55% of the rushing workload with McKissick sidelined. Just goes to show you, even after 3 of 4 games or 20-plus points, he can just disappear on you like that. Philly is top 10 in points allowed, so, a generous team. They fell to actually 12th over this last with the bye week here. But still, not a tough matchup by any means. It should be the right game script, too. Dallas did not lead the right game script. That's why we were lower on Gibson. But just keep that in mind. David Montgomery, Minnesota, giving up over 100 yards on the ground per game, over 130 total yards, 2 backs, and 10th most fantasy points. Should have himself, after playing 84% of the snaps on Monday night, he should have himself a solid day. Eli Mitchell, Atlanta. What else needs to be said? Atlanta is extremely generous to everything, including running backs. Assuming Mitchell's in, he sees 30-plus touches in 2 of his last straight games out. Should see another 25-plus against a bad Atlanta team if he's in. If not, we'll, of course, readjust. Wilson will rank in my top 30-ish, but not overly high on him. Sony Michel, though, Seattle. Clydesdale, you got to enjoy the fact that it's the 6th most points allowed by the Chargers, coming off a game with 2 touchdowns. Thursday night action, you love that too. We saw the season high 15% target share, even with the team up so big and taking the air out of the rocks. So I love Clyde. Sony, though, the way this guy is rolling, easy cakewalks, 2nd most points, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, against running backs is the Seahawks. I think Sony will have himself a afternoon if assuming Henderson remains on that COVID list. Then you get on down. These are your RB2s. These are, I would hate to have them as my number 1, but I'm fine. Sometimes even proud to have them as my 2. Jacobs, the receiving work uptick has been nice. Matchup against Cleveland is, where is Cleveland on this list? 19th, so middle of the pack. But it didn't come to fruition last week when he was the chalk, right? So there is a low floor here, but the Chiefs really, I give people a pass now when they're facing the Chiefs. So I'm a little bit nervous for Eckler. Aaron Jones, the 2 scores really saved you, but less work than A.J. Dillon, certainly in ball carries. He saw more receiving work, Aaron Jones did. Still, very concerning that he was not in any of the bleed the clock scenarios. That was all A.J. Dillon. Was it 15 carries for A.J. Dillon and 5 for Aaron Jones? Just very concerning usage. Bailed out with those 2 scores. That's what playmakers do. I get it, but still a concern nonetheless. Giante Williams, all he does is put up 20-plus points lately. I am upset and annoyed that Melvin Gordon saw 32 or 62% of the carries compared to 38% for Williams. Why? I don't get it. Makes no sense. Giante is clearly the next young stud. Everybody with eyeballs can see it. Cincy, not a bad matchup. 14th most points allowed. So I do think, though, these 2 need to be ranked very close. As you can see, Williams, Gordon, both these guys had monster days. And this backfield based attack, whether it's the passing game, Bridgewater loves Giante in the passing game. And that's maybe the saving grace here is how much receiving work he sees compared to Gordon. He sees pretty much all. He saw 100% of the backfield targets this last week. Gaskin facing the Jets, assuming he's in, will be a top 20 running back for me. Swift, if he's in, top 20 running back always. Both those guys highly questionable, though. Something you need to make sure you track. I'm not sure if I missed any updates on them that I should have seen by now. Just kind of scanning through. I don't see any new updates on either. But we will keep our eyes peeled in case there is. Should either be in. They're both be top 20 guys. If not, that's why Melvin Gordon. Both those guys out. Melvin Gordon will be right neck and neck with Giante, maybe even ahead of him, the more guaranteed work. Nah, Giante is too talented. Can't do that. Barkley, Dallas, 3rd fewest points to running backs. He barely got it done against a Chargers team, get up the 5th most, 6th most. That scares me. I'd rather have Zeke Elliott, who is reportedly feeling the best he has felt in weeks. I'm going to give him a little bump up here. Given Pollard's absence, given his injuries, and given a matchup versus a Giants team giving up the 8th most points to backs. I think Zeke's going to have himself a day. His exact quotes were, go back. The best I've felt in a while. Last week he wore a knee brace, helped a lot, gave him some stability. Definitely feeling more comfortable. He hasn't looked himself, but he was limping at I don't know. It's nerve-wracking, but if Pollard's out, this is where he'd rank. That's kind of what I'm showing you. It looks like Pollard's trending towards out. We'll leave him right here in the middle of the pack. Rashad Penny, though. I might even prefer him above Saquon. What a crazy game. 137 rush yards, 23 carries, nearly all the work. Beautiful, beautiful performance there from Rashad Penny. Now you're moving into like your flex potentials. James Robinson in Houston, you told me this last year, he's a top 5 guy, right? This year, because Urban Myers is the definition of an asshole, Robinson can't be much higher than this. Should they be able to pound Houston, the most rushing yards surrendered on the ground, all year? Yeah, absolutely. Should Robinson have a 200-yard day? He could. He won't, though, because they won't give him the carries. They suck so bad, they might not even be able to bleed that clock. It's just abysmal. 130 yards surrendered on just the ground, in addition to 26 receiving yards. I mean, the most total yards allowed to running backs on the year right now. Just smashy as the spot this is, I don't know. How do you guys feel about Robinson? I wish I could formulate a better opinion, right? But as talented as he is, this team just sucks so bad, and Urban Meyer sucks even worse. Donta Foreman coming off a big day, early touchdown in that game. Didn't end up putting up like monster totals, but clearly ahead of Hilliard, clearly ahead of McNichols, as we speculated. And this Pittsburgh team, if your eyes missed that Thursday night bonanza, you saw Dalvin Cook running wild on this team. They are now up to the 7th most points allowed to backs over the last 3 weeks, the 2nd most, only behind the Raiders. Yeah, Foreman could have himself a day. I love him. I'm plus. Let me go back to the rankings here. Right in line with ECR, but I think I'm going to bump him up just a little bit. Lower on Saquon, -6 ECR. I just don't trust him. Then you got A.J. Dillon seeing all the carries here. Could easily find the end zone. Baltimore, pretty good run D. They are ranking 7th fewest points allowed to the backs. So, they're going to have touchdown opportunities, though. I think Green Bay will move the ball with ease on this Ravens team. So it's just a matter of, does he find the end zone or not? He didn't last week, and he's kind of useless. But we will see. And then we got Chase Edmonds. I'm going to bump him up. I did bump him up a bit last night. Devonta Freeman on the other side of that game, he's still seeing all the work, but if it's not a healthy Lamar, how value is that? So I'm going to bump up Chase Edmonds, given that they're going to elevate his role right from the start, and it's against Detroit. They're most points to the backs. He should have himself a day. Then you got your Patriots guys. If one was the guy, they'd be up here in the top 15. If both of them play, it's just impossible to figure out committee. Either one could find the end zone. Both could find the end zone. Neither could find the end zone. I just always harken back to the Pats just like grounding and pounding the Colts into submission. Happens every time they play them, right? But this is a different Colts defense. They are built far better to defend the run than they are to defend the pass. And I think Belichick will let Mac kind of go out there and have a field day. Miles Sanders, this is a little degenerate to even include him in this tier. I'll bump him down a little bit. Given that, he's limited. Jordan Howard's back. Boston Scott's still there. Kenneth Gainwell's looking good. Who knows what 3 will be out there, but it's going to be a 3-headed nightmare. Yeah, I don't want to trust him if I don't have to. No touchdowns on 135 touches. How pathetic. Pollard, it remains to be seen. We haven't seen him play injured yet with this plantar. Does he still have that explosiveness? Probably not nearly at the level it was. So you got to be concerned about him. I'd probably rather have Darrell Williams in. Probably rather have Dearness Johnson. Which is kind of wild. I do think it's going to be the Chubb show, but I wouldn't be shocked to see Dearness earn like 10 touches. And given how depleted they are in the weapons cabinet, a few catches in the Kareem Hunt type role. I think he's going to be like my Hail Mary of the week. And he's just such a good bench stash. If something happens to Chubb with Hunt now hurt, what if Chubb goes on the COVID list this week again? You never know. Williams, we have no idea if he's playing. He's still on the COVID list. We have no idea if Swift's playing, so we're going to wait and see on that backfield. Maybe it's going to be the Craig Reynolds show. Who knows? Jordan Howard, though, a good bet to find the end zone. I'm not into Chuba Hubbard. He found the end zone last week. I don't think it's going to happen again this year. Maybe he'll have 2. Who knows? Buffalo has been able to these last couple of weeks, you've been able to run on Buffalo. No doubt about it. They went from being the hardest matchup for backs, now the 20th. And over the last 3, bottom 5. But I think they're going to get down early, often. And that's going to be more of an Abdullah game. As you can see, I have him right here. Not too far away. Howard, great bet for a touchdown. Anytime he's out there, he scored. So McKissick, he's not practicing. It's looking unlikely he's going to play. I'll X out of him for now. Mike Davis has actually had a couple decent games in a row. I think he's got 12 or more in 2 straight. Let me just double check that. Games, half PPR, 15 and 11. Serviceable. Given that they have Detroit next week and this bad Buffalo run defense, not a bad play. I've seen him out there in a lot of leagues. Consider him. And then you're getting to like no man land. Maybe you stream Singletary with Moss, a healthy scratch, but he hasn't scored more than like 5 fantasy points, I don't think, in many, many weeks. What is it? He did have 12 last week. Wow. Okay. So he got the ball as a receiver. 7 targets, 6 catches, 12 points. Maybe I'm a little low on Singletary. I'll give him a little bump. Give him a little bump up. If Moss is active, though, we'll bump him right back down to where he belongs. Abdullah, Breida, hopefully you're not in this range. Michael Carter is expected to play. So do I have him ranked here? I don't. So let's add him in because he is intriguing. I will say Mike White not being his quarterback, given the insane volume, like 40% target share he was sharing with running backs. Very generous sharer to the running backs. That worries me that he's gone, but he was making plays regardless of who's at QB. Michael Carter was. So I'd probably slide him in right here at like 32 if he's active. Not the best of matchups, but not the worst either. And that wraps up the running backs you really care about. So, okay, if you're in the playoffs and you're like down here rolling around the Dontrell Hilliard mud, good luck to you. Let's move on to wide receivers, Wolfpack. As we do, I love all the questions we're getting. I love that so many of you are sitting here grinding out the longer show of the week where we talk about nearly every player. Here with me for all of it. You're the best. Thank you so much. If you're new, awesome. Welcome on in. Consider please subscribing and helping us continue to grow, Wolfpack. Only 25 questions. That's actually after 10 were taken off because I clicked on it. So about 40 questions there. Not bad, but keep getting them in, Wolfpack. Please do. That good old water. Week 15, we're at wide receiver rankings, folks. I can't put anybody above Davante Adams. No matter how good Cooper Kupp is, 13 catches. Insane. I get it. But I just think Adams is going to be going on one of those berserk runs for this season stretch. No Marlon Humphries. Who's going to cover him? Who can possibly cover Davante Adams? That slant he wrote where, they were like all crammed in to take away the slant and he ran that head fake. Oh, he is just unguardable. So is Cooper Kupp and so is Justin Jefferson. So, these are your 3 like 40-point potential type of guys right there towards the top of the list. And no defense has allowed more 20-plus yard catches than the Ravens. And Adams, I think, leads the NFL in 20-plus yard catches. It's right up there. Yeah, great spot for them. Debo against Atlanta. I mean, an every which way threat now gets the easiest possible matchup. No brainer. Top 4. I'm actually somehow like +3 ECR on him. Why? What have we not been seeing this year? Debo's an absolute monster. How is he not top 5? Maybe it's because people just like, Deontay Johnson tends to get up the second most. Okay, I get that, but yeah, Debo's just more upside, more explosive. Chris Godwin, though, against New Orleans, he destroyed them the last time out, if I'm not mistaken. They are just very, very weak in the slot. Yeah, 24, wide receiver 3, the last time he faced them. That was actually a season high of fantasy points. 12 catches for 140 and a TD. Even more points than that crazy 15-catch day, at least in half PPR. The wide receiver 3 last time he faced him, should have no problem repeating a top 10 finish, maybe even top 5 again. The more I think about it, I kind of want to bump him ahead of, let me just do that right now, Godwin, ahead of Giante. Tyreek Hill, could he outscore everyone on this list? Of course he could. When I talked about these guys here at the top, like having 40-point upside. Of course, Tyreek Hill has that upside, but we haven't seen it in quite some time. Tyreek Hill's finishes these last few weeks: 16, 3, 10. Are they bad? No, but wide receiver 18, 61, and 41. Not great. And, Mahomes getting his shit together and not throwing it to him. Speaking of not great, Stephon Diggs, steady, 16, 17, 7, and 11, but 14, 8, 39, and wide receiver 38 in that span. So his ceiling's been a bit capped. Meanwhile, Tyler Lockett coming out with a moonshot bomb. You just know when Wilson just uncorks it, it's just going to fall so beautifully into his lap. 25 fantasy points last week. The wide receiver 3 has gone 14, 11, 16, and 25 since Russell has returned. Very, very solid production. I am certainly higher on Tyler Lockett, plus 4 ECR on him. But especially if Jalen Ramsey remains laid up, no doubt he could have himself a great day. CeeDee Lamb against the Giants, 9th most points allowed. Very generous matchup for a very talented receiver. Not much else to say there. You got Cordarrelle Patterson, beast. Anytime you can start a 20-touch running back at your wide receiver spot, you do it. Keenan Allen, Kansas City, he has been cleared. He should be good to go. Last time against them, that defense was far more generous, but you did see 12 targets, 8 catches, 50 yards, and a touchdown. I think he could do far more damage, but wide receiver 15 finished last time. Should be right in that range as you see us ranked. I am a little bit more worried, -3 ECR on Mikey Evans here. Got to take out DeAndre Hopkins. He does get Lattimore, and last time out against Lattimore, he did all right. 12 points from wide receiver 25, but it's always a head game, and they're so bad in the slot. Like, I could see that being just Godwin type of day. We will find out. Hunter Renfro, monster. Absolute monster. I might even bump him ahead of Mike Evans here. 14, 14, 6, 18, 15, 22 in half-PPR. Wide receiver 14, 10, 54, 7, 14, 5. Wide receiver 14 or better in 5 of his last 6. Top 10, top 7, and 2 of his last 3. And those came without Waller. The natural correlation, that end zone upside. He's just unguardable. And he gets peppered. 14 freaking targets. Like, insanity. Love Hunter Renfro. I'm going to bump him up here. The more I talk about him, above Mike Evans. And that will put me +2 ECR on him. So the people are catching up, as they should be. Ja'Marr Chase, Denver. Pretty okay secondary, but Amon-Ra St. Brown just had a decent day against them. Like, they're not special. Chase could easily go get deep. They are giving up the 22nd most points to fantasy wide receivers. Jalen Waddle, beast. Facing a bad Jets team, too. Granted, they've been somehow good against wide receivers, but Waddle has been a target magnet. Averaging 11, 10, 6, 9, 10, 11 targets in his last 6 games. Wide receiver 17, 38, 13, 1, and 17. Wide receiver 1 not too long ago. I mean, this guy, the smash of all rookie smashes, he's been killing it. Like, I wish more fantasy points than Ja'Marr Chase, who gets all the hype here. Waddle's been just an absolute beast, and no reason that will stop against the Jets. T. Higgins, though, right on Ja'Marr Chase's neck these last couple weeks. 20, 24, and 14 points. Over 100 yards in 3 straight. Love T. Higgins. Love what he's doing. And then you got Brandon Cooks. And the reason I'm +3 ECR is because Davis Mills loves this guy. Goes right back to 11 targets with Davis Mills earlier in the season. 14, 11, and 13 target days. And now he gets Jacksonville giving up a ton of points to wide receivers. 11th most. I like that for Cooks. Cooper, touchdown last week. It is a little bit concerning that he has 1 double-digit target game since week 1. And he's been outside your top 40 receivers in 3 of the last 4. So I'm a little concerned about Cooper. I can't lie. But you look at the guys he's around, I'd probably rather have Pittman. Even though the Pats' 4th fewest points to wide receivers. Just a consistent target share, and I think they're going to need to throw because we're going to be up. Marquise Brown, he's really kind of hit a pause button here after being so dominant. 7, 9, 8, and 7. Wide receiver 34, 36, 54 in his last 3. Not great. Bateman's kind of rising. Andrews is the clear vein. And Green Bay's a tough secondary. So I'm definitely a little bit nervous for him. Then we got Claypool, who's been pretty rock solid. 12, 10, 6, 14 these last few. Top 30 receiver in the last 3 of his last 4. Solid. DJ Moore, it's like who's quarterback? Does it matter? Buffalo, the fewest points allowed to wide receivers. Not a great spot for our friend DJ Moore here. Brandon Ayuk, Atlanta, similar to Deebo Samuels, the 3rd most points, 4th most points allowed to the position, especially generous on explosive plays. Well, that's what Ayuk does best. Van Jefferson, no OBJ, clear number 2. Could have a field day. And I'm definitely lower, as you can see here, on Terry McLaurin, -3 ECR, facing Philly. Philly has given up the 3rd fewest points to wide receivers, though. And McLaurin just hasn't been getting it done. 7, 4, and 0 in his last 3. Scary. And he might not even play. He might be concussed. So keep that in mind. And then you move on into tier 5, like your last fringe wide receiver 3s, flexes. And as you can see, Darnell Mooney, still believe in him, given that Minnesota gives up the most points to wide receivers. Could be a Mooney getting deep day. Parker, New York Jets. Parker averaging, over 8 targets a game, over 65 receiving yards a game, has not finished with fewer than 9 points and has, 11 plus in all but 2 games this year. Nice floor with a great ceiling. Love Parker. Russell Gage, too. Lately, absolutely cooking. Has seen the target lead in multiple weeks. And he's been a top, look at it, 23, 130. 38, 12, 11, 46. So, pretty decent floor. And San Fran, not a good secondary. 12th most points to receivers. They're banged up, so even more points. You saw what Cincy just did to him. Gage could have himself a nice day. Love Osborne, +9 ECR on him. Clearly a big believer in what he's been doing. Anytime he's seen 6+ targets, he's been a top 21 wide receiver in 4 of those 6 games. Not bad. 17 plus fantasy points in 4 of those 7 games. I'll take 17 all day. Last week wasn't all that efficient, but 83 yards and a score on 9 targets, 3 catches. Beautiful. That touchdown saved him, but that's the whole point. Rather have him than Mike Williams, as you can see, -13 ECR on Williams. But part of that is, Keenan Allen being back. What's Williams done these last, 7 weeks? 4, 3, 7, 5, 18, 6, 14, 9. Even without Allen there, only 9 last week. Was the wide receiver 43, and now we're suddenly ranking him as the wide receiver 19. What are we doing? No way. No way with DK Metcalf either. 4, 5, 2, 9, 6. No higher than the wide receiver 33. Wide receiver 50 or lower in 4 of his last 5. Come on now. Rams, even if Ramsey's out, not a great matchup. Only for Lockett, of course. Gallup, New York Giants, could have himself a solid day. 9 most points for receivers, but also the 3rd wide receiver. I don't hate 13, 12, 9. Not bad. Kendrick Bourne, though, 22, 7, 21, and then the 0 against, Buffalo, but was the wide receiver 12 entering that Buffalo game. He's been very solid in Indy pass funnel defense, +7 ECR on him. Feeling great. And then Devonta Smith is just 2 up or down for me. And -4 ECR, I'd rather have some of these Hail Marys. 8, 3, and 3 the last few weeks. Yeah, it was 20, 21. Looked like he was ready to get his season really rolling, but those were the only 2 good games he's had in 9 weeks. 4, 9, 2, 20, 21, 8, 3, 3. Ugh. Maybe after the bye, they'll come out just. And let's talk about, I'll just highlight a few names. I love Gabriel Davis, as you can see, +11. Ran 80% plus routes last week, season high. 8 targets, season high. 5 catches, season high. 43 yards, not a season high because he did get deep on one of his games, but 13 fantasy points, season high. Wide receiver 28 finishes in back-to-back weeks. Out there in 90% of leagues. Go get him. Definitely streamable above Julio Jones. Now, I will bump up with that news, no Hopkins. I'm going to bump up Christian Kirk up to here. I'd rather play Osborne, but that's it. I'll bump up AJ Green. right here. Rondell Moore right here. Do love Amon-Ra St. Brown. Seen 12-plus targets in back-to-back weeks. And Judy, fuck Judy. I'm done with him. Give me like these streamers. Donovan Peoples-Jones, their number one wide receiver this next week, with Landry likely on the COVID list. Saw 9 targets last week. 7 targets, 5 catches, 12 points, wide receiver 32 without even getting a deep bomb and specialty. Raiders are getting destroyed the secondaries last few weeks. Oh, yeah. All wheels up for DPJ. Cole Beasley, minus 5 BCR. I just don't think they're going to need him. He's very much just like when they need him, they pepper him. 11 points last week. They needed him against Tampa Bay. Before that, 2, 7, 4, 3, 7. A lot of duds to have this guy as high as he is. So I'm bumping him down. I'd actually rather have Myers, much steadier. I want Myers above some of these other guys, especially if you're getting reception points. Boyd, yeah, I'm good there. Let's get Bateman back up though. 100-yard day. Finally saw 7+ targets, 20% share, highest in the year. How's he respond? 17 freaking points. Like, come on. Why is it not just a weekly shower? And then come on, you're not playing Sutton, who has less than 3 points per game with Judy back. Shepard, 2 catches. Ew. The awful quarterback play is just going to shackle him. If you're getting into this bad range and you can't get Lazard or MVS, I'd rather have Lazard, by the way, than MVS. 1, you're in trouble. But 2, maybe look for Robbie Anderson getting deep. I think he could make a playoff run. I'd rather have him than some of these names. Like, go for the deep bombs at this stage. Jakeem Grant even, right? That's where you got to go if you're that desperate. Alrighty, folks. We'll now get to tight ends, defenses, kickers. All that will take just about 10 minutes, and then we'll be on to all your questions. Thank you again so much, Wolfpack. I love having you guys here. Over 50 questions on a Wednesday towards the end of the season. Incredible stuff. I already saw a couple likes come in. You guys knew what I was going to ask for, but please consider giving this that thumbs up. If you're new here, I see some new names in these comments. Please consider subscribing, helping us approach that 2K goal. We're almost there, Wolfpack. Oh, mean a lot. You guys can help us get there. And as that bottom ticker tells you, if you haven't read it already, some fresh merch going to be dropping probably next week. We have some great cartoonists at work right now. I cannot wait to release the new product lines. So excited for you guys to see it. But be ready for those, Wolfpack. It'll be on the site. It will be, I'm not going to tell you the URL. I'm not going to spoil anything. Just wait. It's going to be great. All right, tight ends, folks. New man at the number 1 position. And how could I not? With 34 and 40 fantasy points, depending on your scoring, of course. Mr. George Kittle, 35-28 in half-PPR at least. Tight end 1 in back-to-back weeks. Top 5 in 5 of his last 6. What a beast. Atlanta, not a good defense. You don't need me to spell that out for you. No-brainer, number 1. And it's crazy because it was such a no-brainer that it was always Travis Kelce for year in and year out. And Kelce gets a good matchup, a better matchup than Atlanta. Chargers the 5th most points allowed to the position. But Kelce, 2 straight gains of just 27 yards, right? 3 catches, 27 yards, back-to-back weeks. It's still Kelce. He had 16, 16, and 15 the weeks before that. Tight end 2, 2, and 3. But tight end 23 with 4 points in back-to-back weeks. That's a little nerve-wracking. I do think if I was nervous, he wouldn't be my number 2. It's just more so, why is he not my number 1? Because Kittle is that damn good, and he's been just Kelce a little bit sketchier. I think he's going to smash tomorrow night, though. I need him to smash. Fantasy playoffs, baby. Oh, yeah. Mark Andrews, though, the number 1 tight end in terms of total production. Kittle in terms of points per game. Andrews in terms of total production. And then you got Kelce just kind of right there in the middle of them both. 15-11, 15-7, 23. I mean, doesn't get much more consistent and huge ceiling than that. Green Bay, how are they against the tight ends? Not that I put that much stock in that, but 21st in the middle of the pack. Gronk, beast. I think he had one of his quietest games last week, right? 9 points. Still the tight end 9. Any game he's made it all the way through. Tight end 1, tight end 2, tight end 9, tight end 3, tight end 3, tight end 9. Yeah, he's right in there with these guys. And this is only cementing his legacy. Darren Wall, did he practice? Let me just check this news on him. Did not practice. No, I don't think we're going to see him maybe the rest of the year. If he's out there, Cleveland's a top 10 matchup for him. So he'd be right in this tier, but who knows? Love me Love me some Dawson Knox, though, folks. You guys know this. I talk about him each and every week. 8 touchdowns through 11 games. 11, 17, 2, and 16. And that 2 was that snowball. Top 7 tight end in all those. 2 and 3. Tight end 2 and 3 in the last 2 games that weren't the snowball. And now you got Manny Sanders out. What's not to love? Carolina matchup isn't great, but so be it. He'll be fine. Do love Gesicki. Clearly +5 now ECR here. Facing a Jets team, give at least 7th most points to the position. Pathetic Jets team. Gesicki, even in his down week, saw 11 targets, 7 catches, and 46 yards. Like, PPR-wise, that gets you double digits. And he was tight end 11 on that volume. He is the clear, I guess with Parker back, not the clear number 2, but he's a beast. He's been a tight end 1 all year. I can't believe he's not ranked higher. +5 ECR, no doubt about it. And the Fry, I'm always +3 ECR on this guy. All he does is catch touchdowns. He has 1, 3, 4, 5, 6 touchdowns in his last 7 games. Double digits in all those games. Tight end 2, 1, 26, 11, 7, 18, 7. Yet 8 is 3 spots above the ECR when he's been beating that out week in and week out. Oh, yeah. Love him. A little bit lower on Hawkinson. Arizona, though, the second hardest matchup for tight ends. He's dinged up a little bit. Should walk into a nice target share if he's playing, but he was absent from practice this week. Just something to monitor. Goddard apparently a little bit lower on. He had those 2 touchdowns, but that came with a different quarterback. I'm not sprinting to the well here. Obviously, top 10 guy probably in most lineups, but give me Freiermuth instead. Yeah, I've gotten that question a bunch. Give me Fry. Schultz lower on the ECR by a decent stretch here. Giants, mediocre matchup, 19th points allowed. But Schultz, just like with everybody here, has not been all that exciting. 2, 7, 2, 8, 14, 7, 1. Why? Why are we all? How am I -3 ECR at 11? He's top 8 above Fry, above Gesicki. Come on. And then Kyle Pitts, 6 catches, 60 yards, looking solid. Now we get in your tight end 2s, and if you're in your players, you probably aren't going this deep, but you might need to. Seattle's given up the 4th most points to the position, so Higbee in play. Ertz against Detroit. Anybody's in play against Detroit because of the touchdowns they'll put up. Fant, just useless these last few weeks. Did he do something last week? I feel like I saw him running on the red zone at one point, but I don't think he scored. No, 7 points. And that was his second highest in 8 straight weeks. Jeez. Tight end 33, 21, 15 in his last 3. Not good, Noah Fant. Not good. Conklin, 9 targets 2 weeks ago. Last week, 2, though. Pretty big dud. It'd be hard to trust him. Might prefer Ricky Seals-Jones, but he only had 8 yards last week. So not a smash play by any means. I don't really like any of these guys. I might bump up. You know what I'm going to do? I think Hunter Henry deserves to be ranked a bit higher. Yeah, he's been a little bit quiet, but I just have a feeling he's finding the end zone this week. Also like this Josh whatever creature, DeGuara. And then Everett facing his former team, revenge game narrative. I actually kind of really like Everett. I'd have Everett above Fant. He scored in 2 of his 3 weeks. So there you can see some live adjustments there. Cole Kmet. Oh, man. You hopefully aren't this low, right? 2, 11, 6, and 3. Oh, boy. So tight end 20 seems right about right. And you don't need anybody down here. Let's be real. Just DeGuara is a guy to shout out as a complete and utter Hail Mary. Alrighty. Let us get to kicker and defense. I had the wrong banner up. Nice. That whole time. Kicker's defense ready for you. So, at the top is none other than Miami, leading the NFL in sacks since their bye. Interception second in that. And now you get the Jets. Buckle on up. They're going to eat. Don't hate at all Cardinals against Detroit, though. Just a good, solid defense and one of the top matchups you could ever ask for. What's not to love? Then you move on. You can see Dallas Cowboys, one of the most opportunistic defenses. How do you block Parsons, Gregory, and now Lawrence is back? They've gone for 17 and 22 in their last 2 weeks. Easily a candidate to score another one. And then you got the Bills. Not very good these last few weeks, 4-11, 3-1, but they've had some really tough matchups. Tell me, PJ Walker at home, very, very good recipe to return 15-plus point upside. I love the Pats, 12 12, 13, 20, 11, 28, 14, and 8 points. Just as steady and safe as they come. No doubt about it. Indy, a good offense, but I'm not worried. Browns, Raiders, that defense last time out was monstrous. They're going to really need their defense this game. Could absolutely see the Browns getting it done. Packers, Baltimore, especially if Huntley's playing, 17-1, 13, and 13 in their last 4 games. I actually kind of want to bump them up above Browns. I feel like the Pats and Packers kind of earn their way. At least the Pats do. Bucks against Taysom Hill, not a bad matchup at all. You have the Vikes facing a Justin Fields-led team that gives up the 3rd most points, which have no problem teeing up on him. San Fran against Atlanta. So, all those guys, top 10 options. Hopefully they're rostered at this point. But teams that are out there in a lot of leagues, Philly, out there a ton. And nobody's been better than the Chiefs these last few weeks. Going 11, 7, 15, 17, and 24. That Raiders team is going to be teed off against the Browns, though. So I do prefer the Browns out there in more leagues, given that road team, good offense they're facing, not the best matchup. And the last desperation streamers I would toss out of the Texans. They get Jacksonville. That's really all you need to know. And Bengals, I'm +4 on ECR, but that's a great defense. They are much better than they get credit for. 10, 19, 6, and 5. 6 and 5, nothing special, but Denver, also nothing special on offense. So keep that in mind. Alrighty, Wolfpack. And last and least is everybody's favorite, kickers. I'll go very fast because I want to get to your questions. Tucker Folk, Prater, Zerlin, Butker, 20-point upside from all 5 of those guys. Joseph not far behind. Neither is Matt Gay, who I actually think is even better than Greg Joseph. Robbie Gould, Atlanta, dome game, should smash. Oh, no, they're at home, so maybe not able, but still, smash Atlanta, always. Dustin Hopkins, he's been money since arriving there with the Chargers. We'll see how many points, if they have to chase touchdowns or not, but I still love him. Gotta love McPherson. Mr. Bass there. +3 ECR. Carolina, you got to track the weather there, but still, big fan of him. I actually think I might go scoop Prater and start him over him, though. We'll see. You don't need anybody else here, right? Elliott, Boswell, Sanders. Go get Boswell if you really need somebody, and they're not there. All righty, Wolfpack. That is all we've got for my rankings. Let us now move into what you've all been patiently waiting for. Over 50 questions here on this lovely Wednesday as we enter week 1 of the fantasy playoffs. As we get to all your questions, Wolfpack, please consider hitting that thumbs up button for us. It would mean so much to me to continue to help this channel grow. See some new names. Please consider subscribing, helping us get to that 2K goal as well. Let's get on into it. My man, Ryan, great to see you. Hope you're well. I am well, baby. All good. Christmas break's on its way. We're in the fantasy playoffs. Everything's great. News changing, but interest in your ranks with Jones and Edmonds if Fournette and Connor are out. I mean, I don't think either will be out. So I don't want to spend too much time on this because Fournette was a maintenance day is what it seems like. There's no real injury news unless I'm missing something. Connor could be out. If out against Detroit, Edmonds would be top 15 for me. Edmonds is still top 25 for me, even with Connor in. But let's not play the hypothetical game quite yet, right? If neither practice tomorrow, then we can kind of, especially with Fournette, I think that was just a maintenance day. Pick one of these for you. Edmonds, CEH, Giante, Van Jefferson, Michelle. So I think you got to go Hilaire tomorrow, right? 5th most points allowed to the backs, coming off 2 touchdowns, just kind of seeing 70% of the touches. So his chair is so fucking squeaky. I really like Hilaire. And then that gives you, time to wait up this news because now we got news like Javante's dealing with a potential knee thing, right? We don't know if Connor's playing or not. And then, of course, Darrell Henderson's so I would have them ranked CEH and Michelle, assuming all the people are in and out that you expect. But play CEH, then let's figure out the rest is how I would view this one. But CEH, Michelle is how I have them ranked right now. What up, Boki? From best to worst, how would you rank? Williams, Parker, Mooney, Green, D-Hop. I would go Mooney, Williams, Parker, Green. I think Mooney might be my favorite option there. That's risky, though. Thanks for being here, Boki. New life. Hopkins out for the season, so we talked about that, right? We already hit that, but just quickly to remind the folks here, if you're coming in later here, I think AJ Green's kind of the natural fill-in, so he's going to probably see the biggest just natural ascension in terms of targets and role. But I do think Kirk now becomes every single snap, and he just needs more snaps to make more plays, and the guy will do that. I'm excited to see what he does without Kyler. He was getting it done with Colt McCoy. I'm excited to see that. And then I think Rondale Moore, a lot more generated chances, a lot more opportunity for him. They're going to need to get him going. So I think that generated touches down the stretch here. We'll see a lot of them. It's Wolf time. Twin it. You know it, baby. Wolf time. Let's go, Wolf. Let's go, David. See Kirk for the card. Stash or start. Depends on the other options are, JL, but I like starting him. I'm starting him where I have him in place of Landry. Wolf facing off in the toilet bowl with you this week. He's going to win. Hopefully you. I want to keep going down so I can get that better draft pick. I'm not tanking. I'm going to roll up my best lineup, but I don't know. I think my team's actually not that bad. I just had some shit luck here. Playoffs are here, Wolf. Let's go. Oh, yes, they are, Mr. Fella. Let's go. You facing off with the usuals? Hell yeah. Always a Wolf. What up, Denny Jennings? Great to see the usual crew here. Russell Kaiser, Big Ben, or Jimmy G. I'm going Jimmy G against Atlanta, Mr. Kaiser. What up, Ben? Playing AJ Green over McLaurin. Can't believe I'm saying that. That's probably where I draw the line. I'd probably continue to roll McLaurin, but I would say AJ Green is safer, right? McLaurin's floor is actually lower than AJ Green's. But also, McLaurin has the 30-point upside. So I would probably go McLaurin. Frazier, how we doing, brother? Michael Carter or Sony Michelle? I think Sony. Assuming that Henderson's out or Henderson's like a quote-unquote emergency back like we had the last time. Then it's Sony, and it's not even close for me. He's a beast. I don't think there's any reason to be nervous about him. Wolf, my guy, Mr. Giuseppe, what up? Lost the first. He'd hate to hear that. If Mitchell doesn't play, would you go Miles Sanders, AJ Dillon, or Van? Probably go Van with no Odell there. My man, Giuseppe. Minshew and Hurts split reps. Ooh, interesting development, Denny Jennings. Interesting developments. Heathrow, where you been this year, brother? Great to see you. Wolfpack, my brother. Great to see you, man. Been a minute, if I'm not mistaken. We do get so many more questions this year, so maybe I missed you, but I recognize that name as soon as it popped up. How's everything going, brother? Great to see you. Would you drop Jamal Williams, Judy, or Jeff Wilson for Carter or Rondale Moore for my man Ben? I would drop Wilson for Carter. What's the point of holding Judy? You ever going to play him? Maybe pick up Moore and see if some action happens. I want to hang on to Jamal because I still think there's a chance Swift gets put on the IR and they get Atlanta and a couple of nice matchups down the stretch. So I'm going to hang on to Jamal for now. And you can probably use your COVID spot for him, right? So I would have no problem dropping Jeff Wilson for Carter at least. And then if you wanted to do Judy for Rondale, I would not say that's not crazy by any means. Start two, Mooney, Ayuk, Osborne, Pittman. I'm going to go Pittman and Ayuk, but Osborne is right there for me, Mark, right there. No, I just got to the question. So hopefully you're still here with us, Mark. We'll see. I always do that show first and then get to the questions, though. Benny T, my man Benny, asking questions from all different angles. I love it. Would you start Guyton, Chargers, over Devonta Smith or Josh Reynolds? Over Reynolds for me. Although, with Keenan back, I don't know. I'd probably go Smith and Reynolds. Now I think about it. Half-PPR buy in week 15. That's what I love. Dennis, thanks for the context. That helps me answer this question. You have Kyler, keep Claypool, D. Parker, or grab AJ Green more. I'd keep the guys you have. As fun as it is to stack, unless you're really looking ahead. I mean, I don't know their schedule for 17 and 16. I can pull it up really quick. They get Detroit this week. Indy, decent passing matchup. Dallas is potential shootout. So I could see it, but I just like Claypool and Parker a lot, Dennis. So I personally wouldn't force that stack with those two talented receivers. Mark Yosko, he answers questions after he goes through his rankings. You didn't miss anything besides Wolf spit and knowledge. Thank you, Benny T. Just knowledge and fire. Trey, what up? Wentz versus New England or Heineke? I would go Wentz. But if you can get Mac Jones, I prefer him. If you can get Justin Fields, I prefer him to both of them. So those are two options I'd look to first. But if neither are there, I'd go Wentz if those are the only two guys. Debo or Tyreek, I'm going Debo, baby. He's had more points these last few weeks, similar ceiling, and he gets Atlanta this week. You know, it's tough. Like, how can you not get them both in is really the question. But yeah, I would go Debo if it's one or the other. Would you start Gabe Davis or St. Brown over Pittman? Nah. PPR, the Pats matchup. It is a nightmare, but they'll need points, and he's a beast. I would consider Gabe Davis. I love Gabe Davis as like a touchdown bet this week. I really think he's going to find the end zone. He has 2 straight weeks. I think it's going to keep it rolling because he can be in a league winner down the stretch. But I'd have a hard time benching Pittman, Benny, unless you have that really good gut feeling. You know what I mean? Wolfie. Jack, I love all the exclamation points. Great to see you. Made the playoffs, put up 140 with 1.3 from replacement RBs. Love to hear it. Now you get Jonathan Taylor and Eli Mitchell back. My man rolling in hot, making good manager decisions. That's what I expect from my man Jack Mihilik. Mihilik, however I say it. Mihilik. Jack Mihilik. That's what it's become now. Only question. Do I play Penny or Guyton? Oh, you're going Penny, baby. Guyton now the third best option at, best Eckler, Williams, Keenan Allen now back. Guyton, you hope for that bomb, but I think Kansas City's been so good, I wouldn't want to do that. Like the video with 1 million exclamation points. Those exclamation points don't convince you to. Who is going to? Please consider giving us that thumbs up, Wolfpack. Help us grow, baby. Love it. Willie G, my man from Toronto. Who to start at flex? Miles Sanders, Michael Carter, AJ Green, Devontae Parker, or Gabe Davis for half PPR. Ooh, this one hurts. This is a tough one. Want to hear what the coach says about Michael Carter. If it's like he's back, starting, every down guy, then of course it's him. If not, I'm leaning AJ Green here. Gabe Davis, though, something in my gut tells me that guy's going to fucking blow up. Lowest floor of these guys, but I just have a feeling like he's going to blow up. If I have this choice staring me in the face, though, those three, it's going to be a receiver for me as of right now. Which one is the question? Like, that's really tough, Willie G. I think I like AJ Green. Maybe Parker. Parker does get the Jets. Let's go Parker there. I feel good about Parker there. AJ Dillon outtouched Jones 15-8. That's what it was. Yes. For the bye, he touched him 25-10. Yes, very, very important notes there. Thank you. I get the touchdowns happened for Aaron Jones and it bailed him out, but that usage is definitely concerned. Thoughts on Gallup, D. Parker, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Can you rank them? I'd go Parker, then Gallup, then St. Brown, my man. No two. The Chosen Row. It's been a while since I've seen you pop up. Oh, we had a super chat. I feel like a complete asshole for not getting to you first, Eduardo. It just, during the rankings, it didn't pop up. My fault. My apologies. I hope you're still here, Eduardo. DJ Moore, sit. Start Sony. If DJ sits, then do I flex Davis, Stevenson, or Grant Sr.? Pretty thin because Odell has COVID, so Penny's already a flex. So I think, yes, you start Sony unless Henderson is in an active, like not emergency back status. Then we reconsider. DJ Moore, I don't want to sit. No Tre'Davious White, you can move the ball on them. If you were going to, though, it'd be for Gabe Davis for me because I really like Gabe Davis myself. But I'd go DJ Moore and Sony here. And if Sony doesn't, if Darrell Henderson's playing, then you can go roll in Gabriel Davis over Sony, right? That's how I would play this, though. I'd lock in DJ Moore, and then it's a matter of what happens with Sony. As long as Sony's the starter, though, he's your best option of all these guys. Chosen Rose, back to you, my man. Thank you so much for supporting us too, Eduardo. So appreciate those super chats. They truly do help us grow. Josh Allen plays. Should I just start Jimmy G? No, you're always going Josh Allen. Come on. Come have a 40-point day. We will not ever entertain benching him. Start one receiver, Judy, Green, Russell Gage, MVS. I like Russell Gage here. Steady target share. If not him, I go AJ Green, but I like Russell Gage there. Chosen Rose. Arizona or Patsy? I kind of like Arizona against that Detroit awful team. Chiefs will be without Chris Jones. That's not bad news for the Chargers, indeed, Ben. That is great news. He's been a big reason for their turnaround. That's good to know. Debo's been running fewer routes lately. He had only one target. Well, but he's also getting, 10, 15 carries? It's like our Alvin Kamara, baby. I am not worried, One Rock. I'm riding that train. Good knowledge for sure. I do like the 11 targets for Ayuk, by the way. That's more than I would have ever realized. But the reason those guys are seeing so many more targets is because they're putting Debo in the backfield and drawing, the defense up to him. It's working out. It's almost better for Debo. Because then he does run more routes. It's true. You're right, One Rock. That's an interesting observation. But he's killing it as a running back, too. You can't deny that. The 27-yard touchdown run. Something sexy about seeing my wide receiver in a backfield, even if it's not like the most productive. And a big wheel route's coming, right? One Rock, like they've been setting that up, kind of, the stop and then zip down. I feel like that's coming soon. Start 2, full PPR for Justin Carey, Ayuk, Giante, Mike Williams, Mooney, Gage. I go the first 2. I go Ayuk and I go Giante, Justin. Just love 11 targets for Ayuk. Now he gets Atlanta, smash. Giante Williams, the top option here. 20 points in back-to-back weeks and just rolling. Got to go with it even in the time split. Love this observation from One Rock here. Mike Davis has run more routes and more targets than CPAT. Why? Why? As you start, for some reason, why? So that's exactly as you say. Targets are so much more valuable. I think I said this at the top. I don't know if you're here, One Rock. It's like, I love that we know we're getting 15 to 20 carries every week from Patterson, but I hate that that's kind of eaten away at the huge plays. That's why those 30-point days, we haven't seen a lot of them lately. So I agree. It's been a little bit of a downer for his fantasy value, even though it's a steadier volume. I get it. Chiefs D has been playing well. Worried about Herbert or Rodgers. I go Rodgers, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I have him one spot higher. Part of it is that Chiefs defense. Part of it is just loving Rodgers. He's so hot right now. I can't bench him. Can't hear Cordarrelle Patterson's name without thinking the time Castro sprinted away from Heggs and I at the Patriots parade to get a picture. He just looked up and said, dude, no. That's a great story, Ben. Dude, no. Castro just getting shut down like that. Damn. I do think it's game time decision. I absolutely think he's going to play. You don't think he plays? Is it a high ankle sprain? I didn't realize that. I thought it was just like a mediocre sprain. So if he does, you don't trust him. Okay, One Rock. Good to know. I'll have to dig into that a little bit more, especially ahead of tomorrow night's show, where a lot of questions will certainly be coming in. We'll have more information. If not, let me just look. I'll tell you guys where I hypothetically would rank Justin Jackson here. I would say Jackson will slide in at running back 34, right ahead of Darrell Williams, is where I'd probably have him as the starter there. Decent backup plan. He's out there in all your leagues too, so go get Justin Jackson. Any interest in Bateman this week? I mean, part of it was not having Lamar throwing him ducks, right? As you point out here, Ben. So I don't know if Lamar's back. If he is, then less interest, which is kind of crazy. I'd have a hard time starting him. He got me 0 2 weeks ago in a critical matchup for my bye, so I'm very bitter. I know the talent's very real. As real as can be. But the usage, the offense, I'd have a really hard time trusting him. I'm interested. I'd like to have him on my team because it could be – he has the talent to be that blow-up candidate for the stretch, but not the usage, not the quarterback. So 2 big pieces. So we continue on, Wolfpack, wrapping up your last few questions here. Please consider that thumbs up button to continue to help us grow. Some new names out there. If you haven't already subbed, it'd be so appreciated. What are your thoughts on teams not in the playoffs? Benny, I think it's kind of Bush League. Like, I would at least – it's one thing if after waivers clear, you go out and pick somebody up. Especially if there's no punishment. If there's a punishment, then free range, right? Ultimately, it's like, why are you doing that? I have so many leagues, like I just forget about the ones I'm out on. Don't even try making pickups, right? But if I was, I think it's Bush League too. I'm with you. If you have to do it, I think you at least should not be bidding on players, putting in claims. I think if everybody's made their pickups and you give it some time to like settle in the morning, then fine. If you want to go get somebody to fill in because you have holes in your lineup and you just have pride, I get that. But I think you should leave the talent, the first bids at the talent to the people still left. Absolutely. Never playing Judy, but my team name. Yeah, so moral obligation indeed. You'd have to change your whole team name, and that's a big shakeup, Ben. Although it could send a message to the locker room too, right? Like, I named my team after this fucker, and he couldn't get it done, so peace out. Nobody's safe. Get your asses together. You know, that could be it, right? Should I play New England defense versus Colts or Colts defense versus New England? I prefer New England there. I prefer New England over Minnesota. I like Minnesota's matchup against Chicago a lot, but give me New England. Should I drop Antonio Brown and pick someone up? Depends on how confident you are and how far you're going to make it. Antonio Brown is also not a guarantee to ever come back, but he has so much upside. You'd have to have someone really interesting, Hector, to drop him. If you're not using whoever you pick up, I would stash Antonio Brown. I can't imagine there's anyone on the waiver wire with the upside that the wide receiver 4 in points per game has. Wide receiver 4 in points per game. Thanks, Wolf. Enjoy the rest of your night. See you tomorrow. Denny, love it. Cheers to you, man. Let's put some back for a big game tomorrow. And Wolfpack, that'll wrap us up. I love it. As the bottom tells you, rotostreetjournal.com is where we breed and feed you fancy wolves. You can find all our content, all my rankings, which I've been updating throughout the show. We'll post these updated rankings in our app, an iOS app, and also on the website. We'll be live tomorrow, 6:45, starting a little early, so we can make sure to get to all of your questions, Wolfpack. Best of luck here in your fantasy playoffs. Let's go, baby. In a world full of fantasy sheep, guys, be the wolf. You're welcome, Justin. Later, guys.